And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And I don't know where to start this video, but for my longtime subscribers and people who actually subscribed to my previous channel, you guys will know that I have been into PC gaming and building for a very, very long time. I actually started PC gaming whenever I was 3 or 4 because that's what my dad did, and that's just what I grew up with. So I began building PCs on my own back in 2010, 11-ish. My first build, I had pre-builts that I used to upgrade, but my first build I did from scratch, it was a Phenom 965 Black Edition and a GT 630. And then in 2013, 2014, that's whenever PC building and hardware was my top tier hobby. I got into high-end stuff, obviously couldn't afford it at the time, but it was what I wanted. And that's what brings us to today. Today, we are going to be building my dream 2013 build. And the story behind why I'm doing this build is pretty weird, straight up. So we're going to start at the heart of this project, not the build, but the project, this motherboard. So one of my friends came over one day with a bunch of computer stuff and was like, hey, I don't want this stuff. I don't know if it's any good. You can have it. Everything in the box was garbage except for this motherboard. This is a 990 FX motherboard. This was AMD's high-end chipset at the time. This was your big baller chipset, basically. And this supported CPUs like the FX-9590 and the 9590, and you could do some pretty crazy stuff with this. What blew my mind is that this AM3 Plus 990FX motherboard has an NVMe slot. That is what made me want to do this build, because I can really modernize a build using this NVMe slot and all the features that this board offers. It has USB 3.0, 8-pin CPU power, and even has Molex connectors on the freaking for the PCI Express slots. This is the PowerDub Crossfire /SLI. I'm actually going to connect it to see if I can get more power for overclocking, which will be pretty interesting. So that brings us to the CPU. The CPU we're going to be running today is an FX-9590. This CPU, back in, I think it became available for retail in late 2013, retailed for $1,000 brand new. It had a AIO in the box because of how hot it got, and it's known in tech history for being the first CPU to hit 5 gigahertz and to catch motherboards on fire, because people would use these in cheap 970 chipset motherboards with weaker VRMs, and the VRMs on the motherboard would actually catch on fire. So I'm very happy that I have a good motherboard, because I plan on getting this thing to 5 gigahertz. I used to own an 8350 back in, I owned an 8350 all the way into 2018, and I had that thing at 4.8 gigahertz. I think I benchmarked it once at 5, so I do have a lot of experience overclocking on these on that FX platform. But to match this build and the time era that I'm aiming for, which is 2013, again, because that's when I got into enthusiast stuff, to match this build, I have a R9 290X. This was my favorite 290X that I saw released at the time, mainly because of how gigantic this thing is. This thing is almost as long, if not longer, than this full-size ATX motherboard. It's crazy. And it's only a 2-slot. It's a true 2-slot card. Great cooling. I'm really excited to push the overclocking on this as well. For cooling for the CPU, I'm going to do a custom loop. Straight up, I'm going to spoil it for you guys. I do plan on doing a custom water loop. Don't know if I'm going to do hard tubing or soft tubing. As you guys know, my main rig is hard tubing. But I do want to water cool it because I have a perfect case. For now, we're going to be running this Deep Cool Gamax 400 cooler. I have an AIO, but unfortunately I'm missing one of the mounting hardware clamps, so can't use it unless I can find it. For RAM, I just grabbed some DDR3 I had laying around. Unfortunately, this red does not match the color scheme I'm going for, which is, unfortunately, this does not match the color scheme I'm going for, which is blue and white, so I'm probably going to take out these heat spreaders. This is the color theme I would have wanted. This is the color theme I actually ran until 2018, was blue and white. Right now, I usually just run black and white. I just have the RGB rainbow puka going on just because it looks cool. Also, you guys may have not known, but I did do some upgrades to my loop. I changed out the reservoir. I actually have a 1080 Ti now. I haven't done a tech video in a while, but I actually have a 1080 Ti because I got a brand new one with a 3-year warranty with a water block for $400 on Black Friday. So I am running a 1080 Ti, super excited for the new RDNA 2 GPUs. I don't like NVIDIA, I hate NVIDIA as a company, so excited for Big Navi. Also got some Corsair LL fans, but off topic. So, I guess this is the hearts of the build. Moving on to the case and power supply. This thing is huge. This is a Corsair 780T. This thing came out in early 2014, which matches the rest of the build. It was hard to pick a case. Getting the case was the hardest part of this build because cases back in the day were not good. RGB wasn't a thing until 2015, 2016. So same with side panels. Side panels weren't a thing until then. I mean, they existed, but they weren't huge. So my friend actually knew someone who had this case just laying around, and I picked it up for 40 bucks. I got a Corsair 780T for 40 bucks. It's missing the hard drive bay, is not worried about it. I'm using NVMe and probably a 2.5-inch SSD. The power supply I actually got from Best Buy because I want to run a new modern power supply. Obviously, don't want to run anything that's going to blow up because I'm doing a lot of overclocking. I have it installed just because I needed to test fit some of the cables to make sure it would reach the, make sure they'd reach the motherboard and stuff. But, I guess there's no more talking. I guess I'm going to go ahead and get into the build, keep you guys updated. This really isn't going to be a tutorial, more like just entertainment, because this is just something I've wanted to do. There's no reason for me to be building this other than I want to, and it's because this is what 13 and 14-year-old me would have wanted. My roommate will end up using it. He actually has a gaming laptop. I think it's a 77 HQ and a GTX 1060, but he's going to get a monitor, and I'm going to let him use this. If it's faster, I'm going to run some benchmarks, try and compare it, but if it ends up being faster, he's going to use it. But I guess that's it. I'm going to start throwing it together, keep you guys updated, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. So I was in the process of taking these heat spreaders off, and the adhesive was so strong it actually ripped one of the chips off. So good thing I have a ton of more RAM left. I'm going to try and not make the same mistake on this. I can probably actually repair this. I have a hot air station. I just don't know if I'll be able to reball this. I don't know if it'll work. I'm not even going to mess with it. I'll set that off to the side. I'll learn from a mistake. I'll probably end up spraying some isopropyl in here to soften up that adhesive and keep going. But I do have some spare DEMs. They're just going to be mixed matched for now, which I don't care. I'm sure I have more of this. This stuff is only 4 gigs, unfortunately. I'm trying to have at least 8. So yeah, hopefully I don't make the same mistake on this RAM. Alright, so fortunately I was able to get the heat spreaders off of this with no problem. Didn't rip a chip off. So I'm actually going to install it this way. I'm going to have these black ones, the black heat spreaders on slots 1 and 2. This is a 4 gig kit, so this is 4 gigs right here. And then, let's see. Cool. And then I'll install this slot, or this Vengeance RAM that I de-heat-syncified for aesthetics, which is feels bad. Might pick up some pretty RAM some other time, but that's in. And now I think one of these is a 4 gig kit. Yeah, or not 4 gig kit, but 4 gigs of RAM. So what megahertz is this? I don't think this is 1600, but I'm sure I can overclock it. And matching all the timings and stuff, I think I can do it. So this should be 4 plus 12 gigs. So this is fine. Not 16, but more than 8, which will be fine. I guess we can go ahead and move on to the CPU. I love AMD's mounting thing. I don't like Intels, but I do like AMDs. So I've already cleaned the CPU. Pins look fine. So just line it up. Close the retaining arm, and that's it. CPU's in. So I guess next is I'm going to actually put this in the case. Those standoffs have screws in it, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those, put this in the case, and update you guys then. Just got the motherboard installed, and dude, this case is making this motherboard look small. I'm going to go ahead and plug everything in. Fortunately, all the cables reach. I really hate that this Thermaltake power supply couldn't have just made these cables black. Really upsetting. Might get some cable sleeves because they're pretty cheap. The reason why I didn't get a modular power supply is because the Best Buy near me actually did not have one in stock that was cheap. They wanted like $150, and I didn't want to pay that for this build, so I just got a cheap one. That's 80 plus rated, name brand, and it'll be fine. I don't have a screw for this NVMe slot, and it stays down, so fuck it. YOLO, I guess. GPU might press up against it enough to make it read. I guess we'll see. And what else? Oh yeah, USB 3. So that goes in right here. That's in. What else needs to be plugged in that I can easily do? This is USB. USB is going to be, let me see, probably up here. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to reroute some of these cables. I'm gonna have to tilt the case up and down a lot, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with that, but I'll give you guys an update whenever I have everything plugged in. Alrighty guys, so I went ahead and I got all the cables routed. I got power routed, fans routed. The only thing that I kind of don't like is that this fan is too short, and the closest, or like the best header available for it, is right here. Hopefully the graphics card helps like hide this cable. One thing I just noticed actually too is that this motherboard has an internal USB 3.0 for some reason. No idea. Could be for VR or whatever, but yeah, everything plugged in. I got Molex connected to this at the bottom of the motherboard, whatever that's for. HD audio, USB 2, USB 3.0, 24-pin, 8-pin CPU, the other fans, and the only thing that I have left from the power supply is this 16 pins in total for the graphics card. This case actually comes with an integrated fan controller. Only reason I'm not using it is that I'm using different fans. I'm using this AGO fan. I don't know if any of these fans work. They came with the case. This Fractal 140 and this Thermaltake 120. Different fans. Don't want to run them on a fan controller because that'll confuse it. But so I'm just running them off the motherboard for now. And I still have two slots for my or two connectors for my CPU cooler. So I'm actually going to throw in the GPU right now. Down the case. God man, this thing is heavy. I also went ahead and I swapped out the thermal paste on the GPU. It was crusty. So none of this stuff, by the way, is tested except for the RAM. The RAM came out of a working rig. It might not be working now after sitting around in my bucket all day, or not all day, but all the time. So let's see. Easy installation. Not captives, but these thumb screws are very nice. Let's go ahead and put both of these back on. And while I'm thinking of it, the water cooling support that this thing is going to be able to have is crazy. I can probably put a 280 millimeter radiator right here. The bottom actually has places for rads or fans. I don't know if a rad will be able to fit. Maybe I can put a rad over here, maybe a 240 right here, and then I can put a 360 up top and a 120 in the rear. So I have plenty of water cooling options. Very excited to do a custom loop on this. The only problem is sourcing a block for this card. It's going to be pretty hard. So if you guys have one for that card specifically, maybe with a back plate, let me know. That'd be great. So now we're going to connect our, if I can get it in there. I'm looking through the camera to make sure I'm actually showing you guys. There we go. GPU power is right there. Also don't like how this runs off of one cable and then splits off. I like two separate ones for cleaner power, but it is what it is. So, I'm gonna do a quick look over, just a quick eyeball, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh yeah, this cable is hidden pretty well. Not pretty well, but close enough. Well, I can probably tuck it in there on this heatsink, but I'm gonna do another visual inspection and then proceed to put on the air cooler. Hopefully this air cooler will be able to handle this 9590 stock. Hopefully. I guess we'll find out, but I'll keep you guys updated. So guys, I finally got this cooler in. It was kind of a pain, not gonna lie, but it is in nonetheless. So I think that's everything, in all honesty. I mean, it just seems so quick because I'm just so used to building these, and I'm just excited to do a custom loop in this eventually. I have rads, which is good, but I'm definitely going to want more because I'm going to want to use everything I can. It's not pretty, I'll be completely honest with you guys. I definitely need to get some RGB fans. Might go to Best Buy and pick up some Thermaltake RGB fans. And this is going to need a water block. This yellow doesn't look good, but it's okay. Honestly, it's okay. It's going to perform fine. So I'm going to test fit the side panel real quick. Not test fit, but just see how it looks with the side panel on. Yeah, that is a shame right there that all that stuff still shows up. Hopefully, I'm actually going to email Corsair today and see if they can hook me up with the mounting bracket for this, so I actually have it. And one of my friends told me I should just email Corsair and see if they'll hook me up with 3.5-inch drive bays, because all those cables are pretty ugly and I want to get those hidden. But next thing's next is I'm actually going to put this on my desk, hook up power, get something to the monitor, and see if I can get this thing to boot up. So I have everything temporarily set up, and man, this thing is huge compared to my 210. But I have a keyboard plugged in to get into the BIOS, both my monitors hooked up and power hooked up. So this is going to be the test start. Hopefully it just boots. Did this light just turn on? It did. That's sick. Anything? Okay, interesting. I may have gotten one of the buttons wrong. I might have gotten one of the power buttons wrong. Let me see if I can short that out real quick. Where's my keys at? Do I not have my keys near me? I should have a screwdriver. Ow. Okay. So let's see. Which one was... yeah, I didn't mix it up. I got power switch up there. Yeah, I mixed up all of these for some reason. Okay, power button. Oh boy. It's going. Alright, let's see. Oh, keyboard's on. Gonna spam delete because I think that's the button that's oh my god, there it goes. Second try. There it goes. 990 FX. It's using the original BIOS because on the board you can see P120. That's the original BIOS version. That's crazy. All my memory is showing up, 12 gigabytes running in dual channel. So let's go to advanced and see what pops up. Let me see if I can move the monitor over. Hardware monitor. Can I see temperatures? Can't. Dehumidifier function. What the fuck is all this? This is crazy. This is a system browser. Shows over. Yeah, let's go to system browser. And it froze. Hopefully it'll kick back. There it goes. Oh, that's not what I wanted to see. Oh, I don't have the mouse hooked up. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to see. Let's see if our NVMe is showing up. It is showing up. I'd have to I'm gonna have to reinstall Windows because that drive is I don't know what I did to that drive, but I know I'm gonna have to reinstall Windows. Oh, there it is. Hardware monitor. CPU temperature 41°. So I do have good contact on this cooler. It's Oh, it is warm. It's warm. This fin is warm. That's crazy. I wonder if changing, because I don't know if the mounting pressure on this is good, but I don't know. Seems to be good. CPU V, is that CPU V core 1.448 volts? This is wild. Alright guys, so I'm actually going to go ahead and install Windows, update BIOS, and do drivers, and I'm going to see if I can hop into some overclocking or benchmarking for you guys, see what this system's capable of. Alrighty guys, so I actually went ahead and did a fresh install of Windows. I actually had to update the BIOS in order to install Windows, but it's on the NVMe drive, which is crazy. So I just got done with a fresh install, drivers, doing all of that, and Windows. It's just sitting completely idle. It looks like we're getting about 1% to 2% CPU usage, which is pretty good. 0% right there. It's not pegging the CPU hard at all. Temperatures was at 13. Now we're gonna move around some. 20C, 26 seems to be doing okay with this. Maximum temperature for the FX-9590 is about 65 to 75 Celsius. Not a lot of headroom for overclocking. But if we will look up here, you can actually see that we actually have hit 1.513 volts on the CPU, and we've actually almost hit 5 gigahertz with some like, oh god, spread spectrum and some other stuff. It's not going to hit 5. I do plan on overclocking if we don't peg temperatures during some benchmarks. But the first thing I'm interested in doing is running a crystal disk mark test to see what this SSD gets on this system. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I got about 1,000 sequential read. Maybe a little bit higher, but we'll see what we get on the PCI Express 2.0. I expect it to be the same, if I'm being completely honest, but let's see what we get here. Still pretty low CPU usage, which is always great. I also have Cinebench R20 installed on here, which I also will be testing with. Sequential reads 658, 663. That's not that fast actually. It's a little bit faster than a SATA SSD. Maybe if I installed Samsung Magician, it'd go up. Maybe that's why it was faster on the other rigs that had Samsung Magician. But yeah, I'm not sure. But we'll go ahead and stop that test. That's all I really need to see. System feels great, by the way. Going through and installing drivers, doing all that, very snappy, very modern. Still, I feel like it could still definitely be used. But let's pop up Cinebench and see what we get. Go ahead and pull temperatures and stuff closer. Okay. All right. So this is what scores. I want to see if I can hit a 1,000 on Cinebench R20. That'd be nice. I don't know if I'll be able to, but let's see how long this takes. It's weird that Cinebench says it's 4-core, 8 threads. I know there's a whole debate on if the FX-8150 and up is actually an 8-core. I don't care what you guys say in the comments. It is an 8-core. It's an 8-core that shares resources. It's 4 cores, but it's 8 cores, but they all share certain resources, which is kind of like a 4-core with 8 threads, but it's actually an 8-core. And AMD unfortunately did go through a class action lawsuit. They did a class action lawsuit. They didn't want to fight it in court, so they just paid everyone like $30. I ended up getting paid because I've owned FX CPUs, but I still would say that this is indeed a 8-core processor. But as we can see in here, CPU temps are fine, 48C. Our headroom is 75, or 65 to 75. So it looks like we do have some small headroom for overclocking. We're hitting 4.65 gigahertz. Let's see what hardware info says we're getting. Hardware info. Wait, where are we? Oh, here we go. Yeah, 4.7. So we're running at base clock all core right now, which is perfectly fine. And we are. I do feel some heat coming out of here. That's pretty crazy. But how's temperatures? 50C now. I wonder if it'll get any hotter. But I'll stop talking and just let this play through. Benchmark just finished, and I will say that I am extremely impressed with the results here.
Stock 4.69, nice. We got 1468 on Cinebench R20, which is about 40 to 50% faster than a i5 3550, and just under an HQ Mobile i7 4850, and a little bit under a Skylake Mobile, which is sick. I think that's awesome. That's way faster than I expected, and it looks like we definitely will have some overclocking headroom. I'm actually going to install 3D Mark Firestrike and see what we get in terms of graphics with that. Just finished up with a run of Firestrike. Again, no overclock or anything, and we actually hit 9,500, which I think personally is super sick. I remember the first time I broke 10K on Firestrike with my 8350 and my 390X. I was pretty stoked. So it looks like we can easily hit 10K. The GPU only hit 66C during the test. It's pretty short. I'm going to do a sustained load to see how hot it gets and overclock from there. I think I want to do GPU first, and then I'm going to do CPU. So I'm going to go ahead, apply some overclocks, let you guys know what I get to, and show you the results. So with a quick overclock, I got it up from 9500 to 9800. All I did was cranked up the core voltage power limit, brought the core clock to 1075 megahertz, and memory to 1600. This was a quick and dirty overclock. I actually used to make custom BIOSes for the 200 and 300 series AMD cards, and my 390 that I was running back in the day had my custom BIOS I built and was actually clocked at 1250 megahertz, which was crazy using a custom BIOS. It was on water, but temps got up to about 82C during my stress testing and benchmark. So with that being said, now I'm moving on to CPU. This is going to be scary. Overclocking the CPU is going to be pretty scary, but I'm aiming for 5 gigahertz all core. But I'll let you guys know how that ends up going.
Alrighty guys, so conclusion. Unfortunately, I didn't know this, but this board is actually not great for overclocking. Actually couldn't overclock it. There's no load lane calibration, and there's no core multiplier. You can change the clock, but not the multiplier, so no overclocking. I did some tweaks, and I almost hit 1500 in Cinebench R20, which is pretty sick. I think I could easily get 5 gigahertz out of this chip if I had a better motherboard. I might upgrade it to an Extreme 9 or an Asus Sabertooth, because I know those are really good boards, but I want something with an NVMe slot, and I want something from the same era. So new board's probably going to be in the works, and definitely probably going to do a custom loop on this. I don't know if I'm going to do hard tubing or soft tubing yet, but hopefully it's going to be sick. I guess I'll just call this part 1 of this build. Part 2 will probably be me making it prettier. Might do some RGB fans, lighting kit, and then I'll do more parts of overclocking it, custom loop, and doing all that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and you've walked into the mind of me in 2013, 2014 of like this is my dream build basically, and I plan to keep it around for a while. Anyways guys, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all in the next one.